Hey everybody, it's Gil here with the Sailing Vessel Dream Chaser, and in this week's episode, the video you're about to see, I'm going to take you to Nashville. I actually went on a business trip there. We did some cool stuff around town. I want to show you what that looks like. Keep in mind that was recorded a couple of weeks ago, and it's a small segment of this video. I want to share that because I'll talk about this more in a minute. Last week's video was a little bit unique. We actually changed up the order and the dates we did it. Instead of releasing our standard video on Friday, we released it Tuesday, so a little bit early. But it was all about COVID-19 and what's happening, and man, has a lot changed since last Tuesday's video to today. My gosh, it feels like things change so much every single day. And in that video, I talked about our practical and logical approach to keeping our family safe with COVID-19. What we were doing to not only think about ourselves, our friends, families, loved ones, and neighbors, but also our local economy and those around us in need. If you didn't see that video, I'll put a link to it right in the upper right-hand corner and also down in the links below. But man, a lot has changed. So I won't go into a ton of that. Frankly, let's keep this video not COVID related because there's just too much of that, I think, right now. We could all just use a respite. I will just share so everyone knows we are all safe. We are all healthy. None of us have any symptoms. None of us have been infected thus far, and I hope to keep it that way. And we're following all the recommendations of the CDC, the Center for Disease Controls, and the World Health Organization, as well as local and state officials related to their recommendations. Still supporting our local economy however we can. Obviously, it's in a different manner. We're not sitting in a local restaurant, but we're trying to figure out when we can get takeout food and do that safely. So enough with the COVID stuff. Let's move on to this week's video. I'm traveling again for work. I'm actually in Nashville, Tennessee, but man, this is way down there. I'm up on the 23rd floor in this room, but let me show you how far down it is. Pretty wild looking. Almost looks like one of those optical illusions in a mirror. I'm in downtown Nashville, and this little bar behind me is a little karaoke place with a mechanical ball. We're at a scavenger hunt, and I wanted to win, so I went ahead and sang karaoke. I don't do that shit, so we'll see if it wins for us or not. But it was a good time, and you know, tequila courage, that's what they say, right? So while in Nashville, we did a competitive scavenger hunt, and it was a blast because it was all focused on country music and what Nashville's all about, right? So it was really neat. I tend to be fairly competitive by nature, but I was on a team that had a team captain. This woman was probably 27, 28 years old, and she was more competitive than I was. What that means is my old butt literally ran all over downtown Nashville to do these different tasks. I'll show you what some of that was like. It was a blast.
Sorry.
Because the meetings went all the way through Saturday at noon for everybody else, I was actually wrapping mine up on Friday. I had a very early morning flight on Saturday. When I say early, I mean we boarded the plane at 4:50 a.m. So on my way to the airport, I took a drive back kind of down the drag, and you know, you can kind of see the scenes here. I think this is called Broadway. This is the main drag where all of the country singers have their local honky-tonks and bars. So it was a good time for sure. Loved it. Great team atmosphere. It was nice to get together with all of my co-workers that I don't see on a very frequent basis because everybody's remote. And keep in mind, this was March 3rd through 5th, so prior to a lot of the crazy COVID stuff. That's the last time I've traveled since, right? So I think we're being safe in that regard. Since I was back home, I thought I would do a little project out on the stink pot. For those of you who don't know, sailboaters and powerboaters have this little rivalry thing that goes back and forth, and since I have both, I can make fun of myself. So sailboaters typically call powerboaters stink potters because of the fumes and the exhaust, and powerboaters typically refer to sailors as ragbaggers, right? So flying with the rags hanging up on the lines. But anyway, I decided to go ahead and do a project on the boat. A few weeks ago, me and a buddy of mine went out fishing. And I noticed when I looked at my chart plotter on the way back, my track wasn't where I was. When my boat is sitting at its dock, which is, it's, let's say 85 feet across the canal to the land on the other side, it shows my boat halfway into the land on the other side. Just something's not right. So anyway, I thought, hey, I got to take a look at this. I looked at the software version that was on it, and this chart plotter was on the boat when I bought it, and it was pretty outdated. So I went ahead and downloaded the software, and now I'm going to show you how we went about loading the actual Garmin application. Since they bought Active Captain, you get one app that does both Garmin firmware and updates and information on your mobile phone, as well as the Active Captain information that you used to get via that separate app until Garmin bought them. Great app, if for those of you who don't know, Active Captain's phenomenal. It's sort of crowdsourcing information about waterways. So much like Waze is for roads, this is what Active Captain, which is now part of Garmin, does for waterways, right? It talks about where shoaling is and when there's a buoy missing or a marker that's moved, etc. Anyway, I went ahead and loaded that software, and I'm going to show you how we go about doing that if you have a Garmin. In my case, I have a GPS map, but the process is fairly similar regardless of which model Garmin you have. Hope you enjoy this. Let's get down here on this stink pot. All right, so let's come on in here. You can see this is the Garmin Chart Plotter. As you can see, this is the Garmin Chart Plotter I mentioned. It's kind of nice. I like the fact that it remains mounted here all the time. The transducer plug and power are right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and snap this to its case and pull the cover off. All right, let's get this guy powered up. Hit agree here. All right, and we've got our menu, and I'll show you what I mean about these charts. When I go in here and look at just my navigation chart, I'm going to zoom way into the canal, and you can see my tracks. Clearly, I'm actually on the edge of this canal over here on the right-hand side, and it shows me across the water and on land, essentially across there. So I don't know if the GPSs just need to be reset or what. So I'm going to upload the software in it first, and then I will go about resetting the GPS connections as well. I also downloaded the new Garmin app. What's interesting is I've always in the past used Active Captain, and as you know, Active Captain was purchased by Garmin, so I have never registered my devices with the new Garmin version of the Active Captain app. So the first thing I need to do, because this is not a Wi-Fi enabled device, I do need to go in and get the software version unit number. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my home screen, scroll all the way down here to settings. I'm then going to go to system and system information. And at this point, it's going to give me hit system information apparently. And then I'll go to software information. And it's going to give me the information that I'm going to need to essentially register my unit here. So the good news is I'll get a quick photo of that unit ID because I'm going to need that. So let me go ahead and get it registered real quick. After you've downloaded the app either from the iOS store or the Android Play Store, you're going to go ahead and open it up. You're going to enter in your devices, and you're going to add a product if you don't already have it in there. And you can see I have one from our dinghy, and now I'm adding this one for the powerboat. Once you do this, if it's not a Wi-Fi enabled one, you have to enter the product ID or the unit ID. That's what you saw the clip before. We went ahead and found that within the settings of the application. You have to enter the number once, and then it asks you to confirm it a second time. I actually missed that. I was trying to figure out why it wasn't taking the number, and it turned out it was taking it. I was just not keying it in twice. It registers the device, and at that point you are all set up, and the device is listed in the actual product list within the Garmin application on your mobile device. And you can see the second one is there. It's my Echo Map device, and there it is. The nice thing is there is a very rudimentary map viewer or chart viewer as well, and you can look at that right on the mobile device, which if you have a device that is Wi-Fi enabled, you can put tracks back and forth between your mobile device and the unit itself. So let's go ahead and get ready to redo the software in this. The first thing we're going to do is power the unit off, and then we are going to open the little door here where the SD card goes. Again, it's a micro SD card. You can kind of see the slot there. Not easy with big sausage fingers, but looks like I've got it in there. And now we're going to go ahead and power the unit back on, and it should recognize that it's in the new software mode. So the charts that are on here were showing 2016, clearly a little old. All right, so it didn't show up automatically. I'm going to turn this off, or pull that card out, and then I'm going to put it back in and see if it recognizes it. What's really interesting to me is I just saw what looked like a Wi-Fi signal up above it, which is kind of interesting. All right, so I go down here to update software, and we'll hit select. Okay, we won't interrupt it, that's fine. I don't know what a long time takes, but I guess we shall see. So I figure I'll spare you the watching of the spinning circle. It came up and showed a progress bar at 0%. Ironically enough, from there it said checking files, and then was almost instantaneous and said 100%. So let's zoom in here and see what it's saying now. I don't know if you can see that it says loader ready, software loading, and it was actually fairly quick. It probably took about 3 minutes. That's it. So it looks like it's restarting here. I see the software version 4.2, and I think before it was 3 point something. So it does look like it uploaded the software, and I guess we shall see in a moment if my tracks and whatnot are in here, and if active captain notes are in there. Interestingly enough, that blue chart still says V2016.51. So I hope there's something newer in there. And this is interesting, right up here. It almost looks like a Wi-Fi signal up there, doesn't it? Huh. Just go ahead and go to charts for a moment. I definitely still don't seem like I'm in the right spot here. Let me pull this card out. I'm going into the settings here to GPS. Let's see what options we have here. Looks like WAS is turned off. I'm going to turn that on. Don't know what the difference will be there. Speed filter, auto. Seems to make sense. Let's go back to auto. I don't know what that does. Showing plenty of satellites. What's strange is it's showing accurate within 9.8 feet, and I certainly don't believe that's true. Well, the good news is I got the software updated. The bad news is it doesn't seem like it made the GPS any more accurate. So I may end up doing a factory reset, but I think before I do that, I will copy all my waypoints and whatnot off of there, because I have a few tracks programmed out to Boca Grande and a couple of fishing places that we've at least tried. I won't say they're so good that it would hurt me to lose them, but either way, believe it or not, Deb and Swab just got in the pool. I'm gonna go see if they're freezing their tails off or it sounds refreshing, because it's warm out here today. Amazingly enough, like on March 14th or something. Well, I went and dipped my toes in, and frankly, it was cold, and I knew there was no way I was going to do one of these step down the steps kind of thing, and it was going to be an all or nothing, so in we went. But you know what? We had a good time. Once you get underwater for a few seconds, it's not bad. I don't know. The water was probably 72 degrees or something like that, which, depending on where you're from watching this video, you may think I'm a big wimp about that. But yeah, it was a nice time. Swab and I did a few laps or races across the pool, so that was kind of fun. And I love when she gets her flippers and her mask and snorkel on, and she will just go heads down for an hour in the pool. She loves it.